Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about what is going on in the Supreme Court, where the Trump administration filed an emergency appeal. Second time they've done it to the court in just this last month. First time didn't work out for them. They're trying again. And you had some reports saying John Roberts has given Trump administration a victory by putting a stay on the case. That's not exactly what's happened so far, however. This is the case that involves the Trump administration just turning off the spigots for all the money that Congress had appropriated for USAID. It's the, all the sort of do-good foreign policy stuff that president after president has determined is really very important for our foreign policy. Trump wants to just stop it in a very sort of Trumpian way, and the consequence on the ground has been really seismic. So a lot of people who have just been left high and dry in the middle of receiving aid, the USAID workers themselves. Anyway, this went to a suit in the D.C. court, and the D.C. court said, yeah, you can't do this. Congress has passed a law. You can't just ignore it. I'm going to order you. He didn't, no contempt or no injunction, but I'm ordering you to at least pay up everything you'd already paid, that had already happened as of the date of this order, which is a couple weeks ago, February 13th. A couple weeks then ensued where it's just not, they kind of did nothing. And a poor lawyer, this is a sort of recurring theme. The Trump guys are there now, and there's really no rhyme or reason or law. And somebody has to show up and talk to the court. And somebody did show up and basically said, I'm not really sure what to tell you. And the court was none too happy at having its 2-week-old order really apparently not advanced at all. And the court said, look, I'm giving you 36 hours basically until the end of the day, midnight on Wednesday, to just pay up what you owe on stuff that's already been done. It's at this point that the administration first goes to the D.C. Circuit and says, oh, we can't do it. It's just too hard. It's so complicated now to unwind things and rewind things. The D.C. Circuit wouldn't give them relief. And then they went to the Supreme Court a couple hours before the midnight deadline and went to Chief Justice Roberts, because he is the guy who every justice has a circuit that they oversee. For him, it's the D.C. Circuit. So they went to him and said, emergency, don't make us not have to comply with the district court order. Okay, it was at this point that Roberts entered a so-called administrative stay, which you're hearing on some TV reports, the victory for the Trump administration, but it isn't. All Roberts has done, we'll find out more what's going to happen, but all this did was take a bit of a deep breath. I mean, the whole emergency practice of the Trump administration before and now it looks like again is a big mess and a problem for many reasons. But in any event, here all Roberts did was say, we're going to take a couple days. People on the other side, plaintiffs, give us your response. Do that by Friday. And then Roberts will refer it to the whole court, and they can then make a decision that's not completely, under the gun and crazy. What decision, however, will they make? And now, when that happens, will be the point when we can see is the court helping Trump out as they did so dramatically, say, in the immunity decision. There are two different ways the court could go, though, and that will be the real sort of telling point. It could be a really narrow decision that just says something like, even if they hold for the Trump administration, something like, the D.C. court. It was understandable. That the court was not happy that the orders hadn't been complied with, but 2 hours, that's just too much to ask. The executive has said, it can't be done. You have to give them some credit. Part of the tone here is that, people don't really give a lot of credibility, at least some judges. Remember, these are the same judges who tried all the January 6 cases that Trump then pulled the rug out from under with the pardons. But so there's a kind of a smallish way to dispose of the case in short order, and it just says, district court, take it back again, but that order was just too abrupt. You got to give them a little more time, say. And that would be a aid to the Trump administration, a victory, but a little one. That wouldn't tell us so much about what's going on. But also the issue here is the one on the merits. And the district court, in entering relief, decided, as it had to, that it's likely that the challengers will win, because it's likely that they'll show that the Trump administration just ignored a congressional command. You can't do that. That's third grade separation of powers stuff, but that the administration seems completely ignorant of. But if the Supreme Court takes up the issue of what the lawyers call impoundment, meaning Congress has appropriated all this money and the executive just says, nope, we're not going to do it, that's a major league issue. They won't do that just on Tuesday. They would do it. What they would do, or Monday, they would say, rather, we're going to decide this question, and they would set it for merits briefing, and it would be several months. But that would be the kind of ruling, almost on a par with the immunity thing. If they basically say the executive branch can ignore Congress, Congress makes the laws, executive executes them, but they don't have to listen. That would be major adjustment to the constitutional scheme that would give another huge leg up to Trump. Of course, they could take it and actually say, no, you can't do that. This is straightforward stuff. And we'll talk a lot more about it if they make clear that that's what they're actually deciding. But there's an opinion from the Office of Legal Counsel, within the executive branch, that says you can't do that. And so if the court makes this about the bigger question, we'll watch it super closely. We'll watch it super nervously. But I wouldn't assume that they would rule for Trump. Okay, so the basics. Nothing's really happened so far, notwithstanding what the press has reported. Roberts has just taken a breath to give a day or two for them to get briefs and decide it. Then, though, they're going to have either the sort of procedural, was the stay just too harsh? If I were betting, I would bet that would be the way things go off, and that would also oversee the Court of Appeals opinion that declined to do anything with the stay. But also, it's the case, and if it's not this case, it will be another, where the Supreme Court might be asked to hugely expand presidential power by basically giving the executive a veto over Congress's passing of money bills, the main thing that it does in the Constitution. Okay, so we'll watch what's happening. Just the footnote here is, again, the Trump use, the administration use of this emergency power, it's messed up in a lot of ways and makes for bad decision making, and doesn't really give a chance to kind of methodically do things. And it's a problem that the courts so far have not been able to solve. And we can expect, I think, the Trump administration to continue to use it. And you show up, and it's a little bit like a game of chicken or Russian roulette. They're saying, you can't let us do it. We only have a couple hours. It's impossible. And, in that situation, courts are kind of likely to call the tie for the administration, because otherwise they say, well, we don't believe you. And the administration doesn't comply. And now there's a real sort of mess. So that's a mess that's kind of seems baked in with Trump 2.0. That is presented here in any event. Then it could be the big possible mess or possible they hold against the administration. If that happens, I'll be back to talk to you, and more than once. For now, talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.